let's get to Tennessee's receiver room. Call them on offthehooksports.com that you can check out. I'm seeing guys go off yesterday. Ryan Wingo, the Smith kid from Ohio State, who may be the greatest receiver to ever play the game if you listen to some Ohio State talk shows. Why was Mike Matthews not one of those guys?
Are you asking me straight up why he wasn't one of those guys?
Is it his talent? Is it the way they used him? Is it all the above? Is it something I'm missing? Because I've got news, according to a very good source, that I'm going to pass along, but there's another X factor out there that could be a real issue.
So I just felt Tennessee gave this past year the first team reps to all the kind of upperclassmen that they went after. And I'm talking Brew McCoy, even though he clearly wasn't fully healthy and ready to go. Squirrel White, who's now in the portal, who wasn't fully healthy. I got the vibes that they were giving the too many first team reps to upperclassmen who just weren't healthy enough to make an impact. And maybe that's possible. That could be the reason that Mike Matthews is in the portal now, because maybe he felt he should have gotten more touches this past year, given the fact that Brew McCoy was banged up. That was my vibe, honestly.
Problem number one with Mike Matthews has to do with Tennessee. And Tennessee, you know as well as I do, they like to settle on those three receivers. And that's what they like to do. My problem is that's going to hurt you in recruiting. If you point to Mike Matthews and what he did this season, as opposed to the kid at Ohio State, the kid at Texas, Wingo, if you point to those two guys from a recruiting perspective and you say, who played right away? Not Matthews. And really, who has played right away as an underclassman? Squirrel White. And that was in a limited role because he fit that role. And I think that's concern number one, that they're not going to utilize you when you get here soon.
I want to share something that I was told that leads me to another piece of information I want to pass along. I was told by an incredible source that Kelsey Pope and the receivers didn't get along last year, that was a real issue. And maybe it's Mike Matthews not getting in there as much. Maybe it was pushing Squirrel White out there. I wasn't told the reason. I was just told they did not get along and that it was an issue. Now, I also was driving down the road during this break, and I heard former Vol Jason Swain. And he said it's obvious that Tennessee is going to have to make some changes to the big boys. Now, he didn't say coaching. He didn't mention Kelsey Pope, but it's worth mentioning he's a receiver, right?
Yes,
and I think yes, and I think that he is tied in. And when he said that, it made me think that somebody on the staff is not getting it done. This has been about a week ago. I was since told this morning that Kelsey Pope and those guys, those receivers, did not get along. Now, let's look at Kelsey Pope for a second, because I want to be real fair to him. He coached a Biletnikoff winner. There's not a lot of people that can say that. So that's pretty impressive. But Caleb, he was a young guy, didn't really pay his dues, and found himself in a peach of a position at a peach program. So my question is, could Josh Heupel's Achilles heel, because he cares about culture, be that he's too loyal to coaches? Philip Fulmer was that to Larry Slade, the defensive back coach, the receivers coach, ironically, and Pat Washington. He should have let them go 2 or 3 years earlier, and he may have not needed to find another defensive coordinator to replace Randy Sanders. So I wonder, do you expect that Kelsey Pope's on the hot seat heading into this upcoming season?
I can't say he's on the hot seat because of what you just pointed out. I mean, he turned Cedric Tillman into a 1,000-yard receiver, and then he had, as an analyst at the time, then he had Jalen Heiker win the Biletnikoff, and when Cedric Tillman went down, he turned Brew McCoy into a star. I'll tell you what the issue is, I think, Dave, and it reminds you of kind of Rick Barnes in basketball. And this is weird because Kelsey Pope is such a young guy. But do you think his coaching style is such that maybe he's a better fit for more kind of humble work ethic guys willing to accept a role, who are willing to improve their game, than diva types? Because Brew McCoy, it seems like, bought into Kelsey Pope too. Now I don't know.
What, but who has Tennessee had that's been a diva type?
That's what I mean. Were Mike Matthews and Squirrel White, do they have certain immature personality traits that they attributed to Kelsey Pope? Because I can't look at Cedric Tillman, I can't look at Jalen Hyatt, and I can't look at Brew McCoy or Ramel Keaton. All of them seem to, at least on the field, fully buy in. And they were all older, more veteran. So should Tennessee's philosophy be to go target veteran receivers in the transfer portal more than recruiting them?
I'll tell you what, let's see if my production board works.
Say wham.
Could you hear that?
I heard that.
Oh, thank goodness. All right. What a holidays it's been. A couple comments. Good one from Dylan. Did Pope turn Tillman into a star, or did Pruitt not know what he had? Hyatt wasn't developed. He could run fast, and Brew was a 5-star for a reason. Okay, I tend to agree with everything Dylan said. Tillman had the physical ability that if he showed up and had a average coach, he was going to be a good player. I mean, he was. Hyatt had the speed, although I will give Kelsey Pope a lot of credit in that. I thought that Jalen Hyatt was open a lot, and that speaks to coaching. When you're running around in space, that's a big deal. So I'm going to give him that one. Caleb, would you give him the development of Jalen Hyatt into a Blitnikoff Award? I don't think we can sell him short on that.
No, largely because I think that the motivation that he gave Jalen Hyatt. Remember, guys, Jalen Hyatt had a work ethic issue, and that was well documented. And Kelsey Pope got.
As a matter of fact, I'm giving him 100% of the credit for Hyatt, even though he was fast. I mean, I know that was a scheme thing, but I'm giving him a lot of that credit. Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOK for 10% off. That's HOOK for 10% off. Also want to be sure and thank our friends, Hound Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. HDKnoxville.com. That is HDKnoxville.com. So, show all over the place today as we're having a good time. Happy New Year to you and yours. Did you do the Black Eyed Peas thing?
I did, and I hate Black Eyed Peas, but my wife loves them. So she cooked them, and I ate them, and I almost wanted to throw up because I despise them.
How did she make you, or did you just feel like you had to adhere to tradition?
I felt like I wasn't going to hurt her feelings. So, yeah, she made me kind of. That's one thing she made me do.
Did she put them in ham and make like Hoppin' John out of them?
She puts them with bacon, so close enough. But, you know, it's I absolutely despise Black Eyed Peas. I hate all types of beans.
Green beans?
No, actually, I can deal with green beans. Okay, I can deal with green beans, but I hate baked beans.
The key with green beans is one word. You ready?
I'm ready.
Butter. If it's just green beans by themselves, you're like, this is okay.
Which is hilarious because the point of something like green beans is to like get healthy, and then you just throw butter on it, and you're like, oh, no longer healthy.
Like in America, we find healthy foods and cut them crap to make them taste better.